Thank you for coming in. This is the Wellness Lounge Talk, and we're going to have an amazing talk today. My name is Keisha, and I'm your host, and I'm just going to be welcoming in Allison now. And just to let you know who Allison is before we welcome her, Allison is also a transformational coach, and she's also an Amazon bestseller. She has a book out, and she's one of the bestsellers on Amazon. So today we're going to have an amazing discussion, and we're going to be speaking about generations of love, exploring the mother-daughter relationship. So let's bring Allison in. Okay. Hi, Allison.
Hi, good
Welcome,
morning.
welcome. Good morning. We've been having such a rainy evening because we're supposed to have a storm coming in. But what a perfect time to have a live discussion.
Yeah, it's a good time to be inside, I guess.
Exactly, exactly. So how are you doing?
Good, good,
And it's nice
yeah.
to meet you face to face because we've been social media buddies for a while now.
I know, I was thinking about that. I'm like, we've finally connected live because we've been in contact for, I think, years now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Did we graduate from the same coaching school? Did you go to HCI?
yeah, I did.
Ah, okay.
Maybe that's how we found each other. I don't even
I believe
remember.
so. I believe so because I remember a bunch of us started coming together as a group so we can, help each other. And so I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah, I love that program. I love that
Yeah,
community.
it was
I'm
the best.
still, yeah, in connection with some coaches I met there, and even my empowerment coach. I'm still very close with her. It was, yeah, definitely a beautiful program, and all the people I met too have been wonderful.
Beautiful. So, Alison, as you're a transformational coach and you have a book out, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and maybe you can tell us a little bit about your book as well?
Sure, yeah. I I was like, how long do we have? No. Um, well, first off, I just want to say thank you for inviting me and arranging this. And I find it so interesting. I'm excited to get into our conversation about generations of love and specifically
Mm-hmm.
exploring the mother-daughter relationships. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of the times when I'm speaking like on podcasts or even about my book, I haven't necessarily reflected on that relationship, but it has been so important within my life as a mother, but also as a
Mm-hmm.
daughter, right? And as a
Yeah,
granddaughter
exactly.
and
Exactly.
even all the motherly figures in my life are grandmotherly figures. So I thought it was really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So I'm excited to see which way our conversation goes. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful.
And yeah, as a transformational life coach, I work primarily with, I call them big decision makers. So entrepreneurs, business owners, people that are balancing family responsibilities, that type of thing, people that make these decisions all in a day, and they might be hiding something, right? Hiding something that they're not necessarily, they know maybe within themselves and skirting around it, but it's holding on to some self doubt and things like that that aren't taking them to the next level. Again, whether that's in relationships or in career or with their finances. So that's primarily the types of people I work with. And what I provide is I do either a 30-day or a 90-day program. I only work one-to-one with people right now. And most of them are referrals. They come through my community or actually they've read my book. So that's pretty interesting. And yeah, I really focus on getting clarity, creating consistency and accountability for those people so they can just show up and create the life that they're wanting to live. And how I got into this was my initial career. I'm an environmental chemical engineer as well. So I worked in engineering consulting for about 15 years. And then my husband passed away in 2016. And that definitely was a detour, right? That was a direction I could not anticipate. You know, we were 36 years old. The kids were 5 and 6. Yeah.
That's quite
So,
tender. Yeah.
yeah. So essentially, let's just say life got flipped upside down. And I
Yeah.
started asking a lot of questions about life, I guess, right? Life,
Yeah.
purpose,
Yeah.
love, like the whole relationship dynamics.
Hmm.
And a lot of health stuff came in as
Hmm.
well, right? So, yeah, going through such a big emotional experience, guess what? Physical symptoms happened.
Of
So I
course.
started
Of
learning
course.
a lot about the body. So
Yeah.
the body and energy in general. So mental, emotional, and just energy in all the forms. And it took me about 2 years. I continued with my engineering career, but I retired. I retired at 38. So I was a retired
Hmm.
widow at
Hmm.
38 years
Hmm.
old, and that's when I found HCI.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a rites of passage that you've been through in that journey and transformation. And I find a lot of times dealing with death even is quite difficult. It's much easier dealing with life, like a newborn comes in, but dealing with death is something that we're never actually prepared for. So when that just hits us, especially like with you, you had two young little cubs with you, and you had to pick up, you had to be there and still be there for yourself, for the kids and all of that. So in saying that, that also opens and deepens your bond as a mother, where you're being there wholeheartedly for your kids, and they're learning from you because they're seeing how you have dealt with grief, and they're watching you, and that this is what kids do, this is what we do, and we grow with that, that relationship that we have with our mothers. I mean, even for myself, I mean, only as an adult I can truly understand my mother. Because as a kid, when she's going through what she's going through, and she still has to show up for me, and then we don't understand. We pick up different traumas and all of that, and then we have to become the mothers ourselves when we become adults. So can you run us through, like your idea or how that has been for you on your journey?
Yeah, I'm laughing at this because I'm like, I wonder if our moms are watching.
uh, it's all right, I made peace with her.
I was like, things are quite transparent with my mom and I as well. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, there definitely is this massive appreciation when you step into those roles and responsibilities yourself. Because
Hmm.
in the time, definitely as a child, you don't have those different perspectives. You don't hold those roles and responsibilities. Well, depending on your personality type, like I almost feel as though I was born in the role of like an advocate or a caregiver. So I don't know if that's my soul journey, maybe. It's like
Yeah.
has been in that role. Like I even remember in university, some of my friends said I'm very motherly, mothering.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, even before I became a mother, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, I would say definitely the kids and I have a very tight bond. I think it can go in different directions, but that was actually
Hmm.
one of the main reasons why I left my engineering career was
Hmm.
I kept saying families
Yes.
first.
Yes.
And guess
Yes.
what? I wasn't doing that. So I was saying one thing and I was doing
Hmm.
something else. And I think in
Hmm.
that disconnect is
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
my health and my energy,
Wow.
I was just depleted because I wasn't holding true to what my values were. So I was saying family
Yeah.
comes first, kids come first, but then I was on work calls, I was traveling, I was working 40 to 80 hours depending. Like consulting is very high demand, very highly competitive. Um,
Right.
so it was a very fast paced environment. And that's when I just
Hmm.
stood. took a step back and said, look, I keep saying family comes first. I keep saying
Mm-hmm.
health comes first,
Mm-hmm.
especially after with my experience of with my husband.
Right.
But I wasn't living. So I called myself out.
I hear you.
And then I
I
said,
hear you.
how can I create that? And that
Right.
value for my children,
Mm-hmm.
what were those priorities and what were those values that I wanted to model?
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that realization that you had right there, it also shows that we can say whatever we want. This is what we want, but when life shows up, it just takes us on a journey, and it's us for us to not try to control, because lots of times we try to control a situation, and then what happens, which it just like chaos happens. The opposite usually happen. Well, for me, I'm speaking of my
Yeah.
experience. The opposite can happen, and then I have to find a way now to navigate through that. How can I get myself back in a direction that will be more beneficial? And it's usually now to get back control of your mindset, because that's the only thing that we can really control. We can't control the outwards or whatever. So, like saying that, I'm going to be there for my kids, but life happens now, and especially as a single parent as well, you end up having to put in more hours just to make, like that success for your family, so they can be comfortable, they can eat, they can go to school, and just live the life that you deserve and all of that. But one of the things I remember with my mother, and I resented for that, my mother worked two jobs. So she was always tired, so
Yeah.
she didn't have time for me. And I remember that first time that I sensed jealousy. I went to her office. School was finished a little bit early, so I went to her office to get what instructions do I do? Do I go straight home, or what do I do? So when I get to her office, she was not inside there. I think she was on a break, because she wasn't expecting me. Back those days, we didn't have cell phones and that kind of stuff. It was payphone. So if you needed to communicate, you do that. So instead, I just went to her office. And when I got there, I looked at her desk and I saw this white paper, but it had like math problems written on it quite neatly. And you could see somebody answered these problems, and she ticked each one. And I remember I got so angry. I was like, what other kid was in this office with my mom that she's giving them time and attention, and she's not giving that to me when we're home? And she knows I have issues with mathematics, but she's not helping me with it, but she's helping some other kid.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm little, I'm like 8 years old. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that. And I remember just talking to her. Excuse my dog. She likes to bark. Um,
She's just keeping you in check.
Just keeping me in check. And then the weird thing is, I remember now with me as an adult, and with my kid, I'm like, I'm going to make sure I have time for my kid like that, and da 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 da. And guess what? I think I might have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I was not there for her to help her with her maths like that, because I was so busy also working. And I was not even two jobs, I was working three jobs.
Yeah.
I was working in the bank, then I was working in a bar, and then in a nightclub later on. So guess I had absolutely no time for my two kids like that. So, but I needed to change that as well. So in
Yeah.
saying all of this, what did you do to start to create that shift that you can have that better connection and be there for your kids the way you wanted to?
Yeah. So the first was the realization, and you mentioned it, like kids want that attention. So think about when
Mm-hmm.
you go and watch them at, say, they do a sport or an event. What do you think
Mm-hmm.
happens when they either do something that they're proud of or they make a mistake? They look up in the stands for their parent, right? Or their loved one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's really interesting. And after my husband passed away, I really recognized the value in time, of how much
Mm-hmm.
time we have or don't have. And also recognize, am I showing up as the Allison that I want to be with my kids? So I was showing up, I was physically there. There was only me. I was a solo parent, but I was exhausted and I didn't have patience with
I hear
them.
you.
Um, and they were being good. They were being kids. It's not their fault I'm tired. Well, maybe it was. They didn't
Exactly.
sleep very well. They might have had a tiny bit of contribution to that, but still, like them asking questions or wanting snacks or wanting to see a friend or going outside or stuff. You know what I mean? Just the
Yeah.
regular things. If you are depleted yourself, you don't have patience to just see that for what it is. It's literally just a request for quality time together, right? Love and quality
Hmm.
time. So that was a huge, I guess, experience for me, is that I had to really step back to the basics and look at my health. Am I getting the
Hmm.
right food, right? Am I getting enough
Hmm.
sleep?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, what are the types of things I'm reading and watching? And all those impacted my energy and my mood, which, you know, invited the opportunity. Once I started feeling better, I was able to be that mom I wanted to be for my
Right.
kids. And
Exactly.
that's all they wanted.
Exactly.
All they wanted
Yeah.
was time.
That's so true. That's so true. And I like how you put that, because in all of that, when you're depleted within yourself, how can you really show up? So taking that time to nourish yourself, getting sleep, the right rest, you know, um, what you're feeding yourself, the food that you're eating, and also what you're feeding and nourishing your mind as well.
Yeah.
So those are some really pretty awesome nuggets that you shared right there. So, can you tell us about what, in your mindset or in your experience, can you talk about the importance, like really diving deeper? What is the true importance of that mother child relationship? And how can we really influence our child's development?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's something that actually that's come up recently, especially with respect to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though as their mom, my role is really to be their advocate. It is for
Mm-hmm.
them, for me to invite them to build those skills, to be adaptable, to be
Mm-hmm.
resourceful, to take care of their own body, their being, and to
Mm-hmm.
give them opportunities to do that and to learn how to be resourceful to do that. Because I don't know what situations they're going to have. So it's almost like having them practice these different things in life, making different decisions, choices, having different experiences, all that kind of thing, in like this safe space where there's loving community. So whether it's myself or the grandparents or aunts and uncles, or again, extended community, where it's safe spaces to have these life experiences so they can
Mm-hmm.
learn the skills to do it on their own, because that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to have these independent, loving beings go out into the world and create their own
Absolutely.
life.
I
It's
agree. I agree.
not for me to dictate every step of the way. It's like, and
Mm-hmm.
again, how I interact or my role and responsibility has changed. So when they're younger, yes, I'm way more involved in their health and safety, right? And just how they navigate the world. But now they're 13 and 14. And the reason why I'm laughing a little bit is I asked my daughter the other day about applying to a local high school program. Would she like to go to the information night? And she
Right.
said to me, well, Mom, I found this program. I want you to have a look. So she
Yeah.
brought up the International Circus Arts Program in Canada
Mm-hmm.
out of Montreal that starts, which is almost a 4-hour drive from my home. So it
Mm-hmm.
would mean she would go and live there to do grade
Wow.
9. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I was like, am I literally going to fill out an application to send my daughter to the circus? Like, but I was just like, this is her dream. So how do I keep that balance of protecting them from the experiences that I had growing up, but also not putting my fears on them for their dreams, right? It's like, does that terrify me, make me sad that my daughter at age 14 could live in a different city, go to school? She wants to do like trapeze and aerials. So she's like, up in the air, swinging around. And I thought this experience was really interesting with your experience just with your daughter going to
Yeah.
space. I was just like, how do you step in and encourage dreams and to like fulfill them and the belief in them without, I do have some fears around it. I would be
Yeah.
sad,
Yeah.
but I mean, I feel as a mom, my job is to help her fill out that application and see where it goes.
Absolutely. And and the thing is, fear is natural. It's a natural product of life,
Yeah.
but it's how we use it
Yeah.
is what matters. If we let it control us, take us over, then we just destroy things because it can be such a strong destroyer, but it can also be the force that pushes us forward as well if we know how to use it. So you used it to push you forward to not because you didn't want to hold your daughter back. You
Yeah.
saw what the fear could do to you, where you could actually hold her back from her dream.
Yeah.
And what is life to live if you don't have dreams, right?
Yeah.
You have to have something to work towards for you to enjoy that fulfillment. So I love having dreams. Like I'm always looking for the next one that I can even if it's so small and tiny. And it's not something I usually share with people. Like dreams are usually so private for me. But just what you were saying, I think it's like it's really moving how you were able to learn how to develop and guide your kids, knowing that they're here to have their human experience as well.
Yeah.
And like they need to become adults,
Yeah.
and they don't need to become scared adults that can't make their way through, navigate their way through because they grew up too sheltered. So like to step back, knowing that yes, you're offering that protection over them, but knowing when to just really let them do their thing, let them make their own failures
Yeah.
so that they can learn and be comfortable with failing too. That's one of the things that like I also instill in my kids, to celebrate failure because you tried,
Yeah.
instead of crying because I failed, which is okay if that's how you choose to do it, but celebrate it because the next time I try, I could actually be successful, right?
Yeah.
So that's really awesome, how you navigate your way through.
Well, I said, like, as a mom, um, I am so proud that a 13-year-old has that courage to one,
Hmm.
and it really hit home of how close our bond is, and that like she
Yeah.
was not afraid to ask me for that.
Yes.
She was not
Yes.
afraid to come and talk to me about something that, you know, we didn't grow up in the circus arts. Like it's not something familiar to
Yeah.
our family, and to actually come and oops, you
Sorry,
okay?
I almost threw in my
You're just gonna toss it. We'll flip around over there. Some circus arts. Yeah. So
yeah,
like,
there's some circus arts.
but yeah, it's you know, just her courage at that age,
Hmm.
her courage and confidence and determination, like literally ever since we went and saw Cirque du Soleil back in May, she has been training herself. She made her own training program for
Right.
flexibility
Wow.
and everything. She has been working on it probably at least 2 hours a day on her own because we live in a small town. We don't have access to a lot of that stuff. But I mean, I don't know, other than you practice and like encourage and that, I don't know where you learn those types of life skills unless it's mentored. Like I had a friend, I reached out and told her what what my daughter Abigail wants to do. And she's like, yeah, that's just a reflection of you. You always you try what you say you're going to try, you go and
Exactly.
try it. Whether it works or not, you
Exactly.
give it a try. She's like, that's exactly like
Hmm.
you. And I was like, what?
That's what I was actually about to say. I said that the way she is because of you, because you are the model that she's been watching. You think sometimes we think they're not watching, but
Yeah.
those little kids, they're watching everything, and they're mimicking our characteristics as well. And if they're not doing it directly or purposely, somehow it sinks into the subconscious and it's right there in the background just waiting to come out, because like one day we become our mothers and we don't even realize that we did. Like, especially when we see our mothers had some type of behaviors that we didn't really agree with or we didn't like. Guess what? Sometimes it can just creep up on you. Maybe suddenly in your 40s or 50s, you start acting exactly like
Yeah.
them. Because I saw that in me. And I feel like it's so important to teach our kids some form of, and even for us, we have to practice some form of mindfulness, because if we're not mindful, all of this we miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're unable to correct it because we never see it. So when we become our mothers, even the learned behaviors that are not of the best, if we're not mindful, then we continue on in those with those behaviors,
Yeah.
and that's not positive for us. I mean, it could be if it's a behavior that it's a successful behavior, then yes, we can hold on to that. But being mindful is the first thing. So
Yeah.
what I wanna ask you now is, can you share any memorable moments or experiences that is a highlight for you? It could either be with your mother, or it could be with your own child. Just, like the best one for you.
Mm.
Or it could be both. You can share one of each.
Yeah. My best moment. Hmm. I was gonna say there's been there's actually there's there's many that come to mind.
Okay.
Yeah, and especially with
Do we have
my
time for you
children.
to tell us all?
Well, well,
Do
the
we have
one I
time for
think
you
about,
to
even so, upon reflection, I even think about the way that each of my children came into this world, and then their
Mhm.
personalities that have come, that I've learned, like how they came into this world, like when they were born. So my
Mhm.
daughter came in fast and furious, right? Like she
That's the
was,
first one.
well, she was my
Yeah.
second. So my
Oh,
son
she's
is
number two.
older.
Okay. Oh, the son is okay. I got it now. Yeah.
Yeah, he was also fairly quick for her first pregnancy and everything, but yeah, one, she wanted to be here. Like, yeah, she wanted to be here
She
with
had she has a
force.
mission. She has a mission for the
She
circus.
does. Or just in life in general. And what I have
Yeah.
found, like some of the most amazing moments that I'm finding is, yeah, when I'm seeing, especially at their ages, so they're in grade 8 and 9, which can be very influential ages with your peers. Both
Hmm.
of them, I am seeing pursuing their passion with confidence and clarity, like, and no influence from their outside people, like
Right.
the outside peers, which I think is so remarkable. And I think when I watch them in their, I call it their zone of genius. So my son's a drummer. When he is drumming, there is a zone of genius that I'm not a musician. Like I don't even comprehend watching him play like that. Like he's, yeah, he's in his special place. So I would say like that's one of my most memorable moments with him, is
Right.
seeing him in his zone of genius. Um, like it makes me super proud. And then just to see him even out and try. So even when it fails, like he's a kid, right? He's still learning how to do live shows. They don't always sound the best. And sometimes they sound amazing, right? Because they're
Mm.
learning. but he hasn't given up, right? And so I'm seeing that with my daughter as well. It's like in her zone of genius. So when she's up on like the silks or she does pole fitness and stuff now, like she is doing things I didn't even know bodies could do. Um,
Yeah.
and my whole experience with watching her or experiencing that is just seeing how they've taken these little bits of our life
Right, right.
experience and how they've created their own. And
Mm.
it's like without hesitation, like
Oh,
they're like, Mama, I'm doing this. And I'm like,
she's
yeah,
doing
you are.
it.
Yes,
Wow.
you
And that's
are.
the support that you're giving, so it gives them the courage to keep doing it, because if you weren't giving them that support, it could go all different for them. They could become depressed and all of that. But I was a little bit giggly when you were saying about your son playing the drums, because I remember I was learning to play the flute when I was little, and I couldn't find the flute anywhere. But I think I understand now what happened to the flute. I think my parents couldn't stand the sound, so they got rid of the flute and didn't
Yeah.
tell me what happened to
Yes.
it.
Sometimes the instruments can slightly disappear. So my son started with the drums and like gently got the acoustic drum set out of the house. So he went over
Hmm.
to guitar, which you can control the
Yeah.
volume. And then we got an electronic kit because he was always
Okay.
he's been born to play the drums. Like honestly, if you watch him, it's like, yeah, it's just in his being. He's very fluid. Um, so it's very interesting how like, yeah, parents can kind of be like, you know, I don't know about this acoustic kit, with an 8 year
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
pounding away in the
That's too
house.
funny.
Yeah. So making some different choices there. So like trying to kit helped or taking like lessons outside of the house.
So if you can just really connect with your heart right now, what is it that's coming up for you that would be very important that you would like to share as we save this live, that anybody who is interested in a topic like this, that that could a message for everyone, what would that be, or your greatest learning that you can share? But it's not to be in the head with this one. Just drop into the heart and just see what comes up. Doesn't matter what it sounds like.
Yeah, I would say this is for myself and like my wish for my children or for anyone is that,
Hmm.
I'm finding life is this process of how to be yourself. Your inside, your
Hmm.
inner guidance knows who
Hmm.
you are,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
That's who
Right.
it is. So it's like, how do you be yourself genuinely, authentically, and still honor those positive intentions of what you've grown up with, what you've observed, what those traditions are. Like, there are some really great positive intentions behind those things that we've observed or experienced, and how do we take that in and make it our own, right? That process of just being truly yourself with
Hmm.
all of this other knowledge, influence, right? Guidance, um, and learning those skills to really connect and trust yourself.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. I like that. I really like that. So, there are positive intentions behind the experiences that we go through, and it's important to be ourselves and
Yeah.
trust in ourselves as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
Allison, thank you so much for that message. It was beautiful. And let me just give a few little shout outs before we end this live, because I know many people came in and came through. So I just want to, like acknowledge them and give gratitude for, coming in, joining for when you can, and, jumping out, jumping back in. This live is going to be saved, so you can always go back and really listen, and whatever inspiration and nuggets you can take from this for you, it is for you. It's our gift to you, whatever that you can get from this. So Tanya, thanks for joining. Guzu and Anna Marie, Manuk, Some of the names I can't pronounce, I'm probably just going to skip. Scarlin, thank you. Thank you for the shout out, Scarling. Agoki. Ellie Tom, thanks for joining in. Juicy, Abdul, Michelle, thank you for coming in. Malik, nice to see you. Came in, Malik, thank you. Juan, Africor, Sunseekers, Antigua, Ziet, Jenny. Yes, I know who you are, just don't know this name. Drone, thanks for jumping in. Franya, Hasmuk, thank you. Kyle Dubbin, thanks for coming in. Drastic, thanks for joining. Insta Stig, thank you. Cutie Pie. Oh man, some of these names are just so
Yeah.
unique. Charlotte, thanks for coming in. Own Way Fish House, thank you. Quinn, thank you. Bakan, Akash, Justin, hey Justin, thanks for coming in. That's my daughter's boyfriend. Mr. Sweeney, Anna, thank you for coming in. Move into Stillness Yoga, thank you. Sparky, Michelle, yeah, so everybody, there's a few others, but the ones that I can't pronounce, please excuse me. Sending love.
Yes.
So thanks, Allison, for coming in and for joining and for sharing your wisdom and your insights. Would you like to mention the name of your book, just in case anybody is interested in a copy of that? If
Sure.
you're, yeah,
Yeah.
if you can just mention the name of your book.
Yeah. It's called RIP, Restoring Inner Peace, a young widow's
Okay.
story of being transformed by love. So this is what it looks like.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
It's just on
And
Amazon. You can get
it's
paperback, you can get an ebook, or you can get the audio book. I actually
It's an
narrate it.
audiobook, audibles, because I use
Yeah.
audibles.
Oh,
Okay, great. So I will look for that. I'll look for it in audibles. All right, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day
yeah.
and stay
Thank you.
safe, stay happy. Peace and love to everybody. May we all be in joy and all be in peace. One love. Bye bye.
Thank you.